Welcome. Thanks for joining me. Today's flow is going to be a yin flow, so it's not going to be one side and then the other side yin. We're going to link a few poses together. Each of the poses we're going to hold for about 3 minutes on each side as we go through. Between sides, or not between sides, but between sides of the flow, we will do a little mini Shavasana and then do the other side and then ending Shavasana. So it's a nice little refresh start for your day. It is inspired by spring. It's going to work on those lines for the liver and the gallbladder, on those meridian lines in the yin system. So to start, we're just going to come to a comfortable seat, whatever that might be to you, cross-legged on your knees, maybe in a chair to start. But once you're settled in that comfortable seat, allow your eyes to close. Allow yourself to come into the room, onto your mat, and into your body. And just taking 15 seconds and allow all of the sounds around you to become noticed by your mind. And I invite you to bring all of those sounds into your practice. I allow you to not let them distract you. I invite you to have them be part of your practice today. And start to go inward. Notice how the body's feeling, checking in physically, mentally, emotionally. Starting to acknowledge the quality of your breath. Just being with it, no need to change it yet. Throughout this practice, it'll just be a nice, easy breath that you'll start to follow. No need for ujjayi breath, no need for deep breaths unless they feel good. Just let the breath be natural. But notice if it starts to get tight or choppy. That could mean you're going a little too deep. As a reminder, with the yin system, you want to be letting the muscles be less active and have that fascia, the connected tissues of the ligaments and the tendons, be more of the focal point here. So it's not a muscle stretch, it's just being with your body and feeling a little bit of sensation and sitting with that. So setting an intention to be aware of your body, to be in the present moment, to be aware of your breath. Holding on to that intention in your mind's eye, allow your hands to press together in front of your heart. And we'll set that intention with one sigh of the mouth or one om, your choice. Take a nice full inhale. Allow the hands to release to the thighs. Sitting there for a few more moments, absorbing that energy, that vibration. And on your next inhale, allow those eyes to blink open. From here, we're going to move to hands and knees. You might want some padding for your knee. If you are tighter in your hamstrings, you might want some blocks. If you're at home and you don't have blocks like you would normally, you can use anything that's sturdy, a stack of books, maybe even a couple soup cans or pasta jars, whatever is going to work best for you to bring yourself elevated a little bit. So once you're on your hands and knees, you're going to take your right foot, step it forward. So that right foot's forward, and you're just going to start to bend into that knee and straighten it. Just a couple rounds of breath, just checking in. Notice the hips, notice the hamstrings. And after a couple more rounds of moving here, we're going to start to move into stillness. So we'll start our time for about 3 minutes here. And then draw yourself back, right? Maybe walk that foot forward. Maybe you start up high. And just find that engagement along the back of the leg. So you want to feel that stretch there, not in the low back. If you're going into the low back, it's too deep. So maybe you start here, you're breathing here for a few breaths. Over time, you might be able to come forward a little bit. And it's not your deepest stretch, right? You're just getting into the fascia there behind the leg, right? In that hamstring area, maybe even into the right hip. There's a lot of times during the yin poses that I actually like to take my hand and feel the area where I feel the stretch, right? So it's creating that link between my brain and my body and allowing me to be more mindful of what's happening in the body. Because in these longer holds, it's easier to check out. It's easier for our brain to go away from the present moment. But as with our intention, we want to stay in the present moment. We want to stay with the sensations. And then we want to invite all that external stimuli that might be around us right now in our house to be part of that practice. And can you stay with the stretch? Can you stay with the sensations while all that's happening around you? So bringing some mindfulness into our practice. You're about halfway there. Just start to lengthen. Imagine if you're trying to draw your chest forward just a little bit, but then let the shoulders relax. Maybe you start to feel that sensation. If you do feel it down into the backs of your knees, bend your knee just slightly so you're keeping it there in that behind the thigh and that in those hamstring region. Or maybe you're feeling it a little bit in the calf, depending if your calves are sore. And then just do what feels best for your breath. As part of your breath deeper and that feels good. If you start to hold your breath at any time, you know you've gone a little too far and come back out of it. Then for the next few rounds of breath, point your toe forward. It doesn't have to go all the way to the ground. Breathing into there. Let yourself be in that sensation of what's happening in the leg. Maybe if your back toe is tucked and you feel stable, can you uncurl that toe? Or if it's curl or uncurled, can you tuck it for the last few moments here? Slowly start to draw those toes up on the front, bend into that front knee, and then from here you're going to sit back all the way back onto your bum. So if you need to adjust yourself on that blanket so that your shin is on the blanket. And I'm just going to turn myself around here so that you can see that. So my leg is out. I'm going to drop down so that my heel is outside my hip. Now if this is too tight for you, so your left leg is bent, your right leg is still straight. If it's too much, prop yourself up on some pillows, maybe a block, so that you can sit here comfortably with your leg in this position. So you don't want pain in the knee, but you want to feel sensation in the thigh and the ankle, working again into those ligaments. Maybe you stay up on the block for a little bit, and then you start to lower and go down as the sensation decreases. And so you're just going to sit here, breathe with it. All right, let that extended leg kind of be relaxed. We're focusing here on this bent knee. Maybe even draw the top of your knee back a little bit to give it some space. Maybe lean a little bit, pinch the calf, and draw it out of the way. And just notice the sensations now. So we had the sensations before in the front leg. Maybe they're still there. Now you're starting to feel those sensations in the left leg, in that left hip, maybe the left ankle. Adjust what feels best to you, giving yourself support. And again, always lifting yourself up. Maybe it's less in the hip. You come down to a cushion. Maybe you fold your cushion. A lot of times I tend to fold this cushion and slip it underneath my hip. Just allow yourself to be with those sensations. Allow yourself to be with your breath, with all those sounds around you. Just bringing more mindful attention to them. And you may want to stay here. You may want to start to slightly lengthen forward. And that's just going to engage that extended leg again. Find a little bit more of, but not as a full fold. It's not a full fold here, right? So you're just going to engage a little bit more of that hamstring. And lengthen out. Just kind of notice what happens. If you're rolling too much toward the right, you might again want to put a little bit of a pillow underneath or blanket under that right hip. Just sit with those sensations. Again, with Yin, it's not 100% of your stretch. It's not even 70% of your stretch. It's more around the 40, 50, 60% of your stretch where you want to feel. So you want to work and engage those connective tissues. Like I said before, the ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue of the fascia. And get those warmed up before you start moving your muscles. If you're forward, maybe you might want to start leaning back a little. So getting more into the front side of that quadricep on the left leg. And if you do start to lean back, right, if you're all the way on the ground, you can go down to your elbows if you'd like. You can even lay all the way back, being mindful of that knee. But if you're up on something, I recommend just bending the elbows and rolling the shoulders back. Keep a little bend into the elbows. Fingers can point forward to your hips. Fingers can point out to the side. A little deeper stretch might even be fingers point behind you. So you're opening up the front side of the body as well. Just a few more cycles of breath here wherever you are. Be mindful. Making sure your breath is smooth and steady. It doesn't have to be super full, just smooth and steady. If you are reclined, mindfully start to bring yourself back up to seated. And then from here, you're going to roll over toward your right side. Take that left leg, extend it out. Pause there for a moment. And then take that left ankle, cross it over the right knee. So you have this little figure four going. And you can stay here. Maybe you feel this. Maybe this is where you want to sit. You have enough engagement. If you want to go a little deeper, lean back, roll the shoulders back, lift the chest, and then start to slide that right leg in. So going to where you feel sensation, remember, between that 40 and 60% of a stretch. And hold there. And again, be mindful of leaning back into those hands. Be mindful of the wrists and the elbows. Just notice maybe you rock and you find a space that feels stuck. And just pause there. Take a few breaths. When those sensations disappear, maybe start to rock a little bit the other direction, finding a little bit of sensation, and hold there. And you might want to go on. Maybe you hold here. You're totally fine to stay here. Maybe you lift your hips and slide your hips closer to that heel of the front foot. As you do, you're going to notice a little bit more opening of the chest. You're going to roll the shoulders back, press down into those hands. So you have a little bit more sensation here. Again, staying within that 40 to 60% of the stretch. Allowing that connective tissue to engage more than the muscles. And then if it feels right to you, there's one more deeper stretch for this. You can start to bring yourself upright, and then you're going to cradle that leg in your arms. So this leg can extend out. If that's too much in your hips or your low back, just keep the knee bent, maybe even lean forward, cradling it. Or again, return back to the previous position. So again, be mindful of that you're not going too deep. And about 20 more seconds here. If you are cradling the leg, go ahead and place it back on that right thigh. And then start to extend that right leg, coming up to seated. And then you're going to take that left leg, bring that left foot into the right inner thigh. Open yourself up so you're not facing toward your right foot. You're open more up toward the center of your legs. And then prop yourself up on anything you need to here. This is where you might want maybe a block, maybe a pillow to place on the inside of that right leg. So we're going to go into a little bit of a side stretch here. So So you're going to take that right arm and just kind of lengthen it out wherever you see feels fit to you today. And then take that left arm, reach it up. Find an openness in the side stretch. And then maybe you just stay here. Maybe here is where you feel it. Maybe that arm starts to reach up. Right, you're starting to feel that left side waist. And then maybe that arm reaches overhead. Maybe it even drapes over your head. And I always like to, on this side, or on my side stretches, I like to bend that bottom elbow and create a little shelf for my head. So I create a little hammock for my head, placing it right there on my temple, a little fist, to let my head be supported. And then I try and lean away from my left leg. So finding that stretch in the outer hip of the left side, my left side waist, maybe even up into my armpit. As the stretch starts to lessen, maybe you take away the pillow for a moment, settle back in. Then those people that have a little bit more openness, if you have a little bit more openness, maybe that elbow starts to slide down either on the inside or maybe to the outside. Maybe it comes to a cushion, but still opening. Remember, you're not rolling forward, you're opening. I tend to like my elbow on the inside. It just helps me open a little bit more. Keep letting that left hip be heavy. Let that right leg be relaxed. Finding the engagement in all of that tissue that goes around, holding yourself upright, holding your organs in. That top arm can just be nice and heavy. And a few more cycles of breath here. Maybe you can even start to take your gaze up toward the ceiling. Doesn't have to be your head, just your gaze. Your eyes can roll and look up. And slowly come out of it. You're going to take that top arm, reach it straight up. And then continue with that top arm, bring it down by your side as you lift your chest. And then from there, you're going to take that right leg this time, draw in, and find Baddha Konasana for a few moments. So sitting up tall, soles of the feet together, they're not super close to you. And just sitting up tall and bring those hands back behind you and roll the shoulders back. And just pause here. Breathing into it. Just noticing any differences, right side, left side. And then sitting up, take those knees, draw them up, bring yourself back to center, and extend the legs long, and then just lay down onto your back for a moment. Just taking a little mini Shavasana here for a few moments. Let the legs be heavy, let the arms be heavy. Just check in, right side, left side. Again, bring all those surrounding noises, distractions into the practice, so they're no longer a distraction. Then stay in the present moment with the body, with your breath, with the sensations from that first side. And then slowly, when you're ready, roll over to your right side, pushing yourself up. Coming all the way back up to hands and knees. So again, setting yourself up with any props you need. And this time your left leg is going to be forward and your right knee is going to be bent. So coming forward, once you're there, start to rock forward and backward into that space. Adjusting yourself as needed. And then once you rock back again, pause there. Good, and again, maybe you need to start up taller, finding that sensation in the back of the leg. Maybe as time moves on, you start to lengthen forward. You know the flow now, so try not to go too far ahead. Try to stay in the present moment, stay with your breath, Stay with the sensations in that left leg. Again, just notice if the pose is different, if you have balance or if you have some grounding, maybe that back toe points rather than tucks under as a kickstand. Can you relax the shoulders a little bit? Relax the jaw. Maybe even draw those hips slightly back. Be mindful to have that stretch there in behind the thigh, in that hamstring region, not behind the knee, not right up at the sit bone more acutely. A few more rounds of breath here. Listening to the sound of your breath, noticing if it's choppy. Can you make it smoother by either backing out of the pose or creating a little more space? As those sensations dissipate, going into it just a little deeper, remember staying with that 40 to 60% of the stretch. Can you relax those toes on the extended leg any little bit? And then slowly bring yourself back up. Good, bend into that front knee. Slide that back knee in a little bit and then start to lower yourself down. Using any props you need to under your hips, so the right leg is now bent, the left leg is extended. Your foot is by your side, toes are pointing down. You have some support under your hips if you need it. And then from there, you're just gonna pause. Just notice those sensations that are happening here. Sitting up tall, kind of checking in with that right hip. You might still feel sensations along that left side. And just acknowledging them, taking those sensations in, building more body awareness, building more acceptance of where you are in your body today. Knowing every day that you're in your body is a different experience on your mat. No two experiences for me have ever been the same, I know that. So hopefully you have no expectations of the same. Just accept it and love it for what it is, and be happy that you're here on your mat today. If those sensations have kind of dissipated a little bit and you want to add on, maybe slightly start to bring yourself forward. Again, being mindful of not pulling so much in the low back. Again, it's not about your deepest fold here. Even that extended leg's a little loose. You're feeling those sensations on that right side, maybe into your right ankle, really pressing those toes down. Letting your shoulders relax, let your jaw relax. And if you're extended forward, start to bring yourself upright. And then if you'd like to lean back a little bit, again, if your hips are on the floor or on just a cushion, maybe you roll all the way back to your elbows. But again, be mindful if that starts to pull that knee up and there's too much sensation. Come back to those hands. And again, hands can point out to the sides. They can point back. And you're going to roll those shoulders back away from your chest and those shoulder blades together. Keeping a little micro bend in those elbows. Finding some openness in the front body. Finding some breathing that's a little bit more deep, maybe a little bit more fluid. If you're on your elbows, be mindful to lift the chest. Maybe the chin lifts. If it feels okay for your neck, maybe your head can drop back. But be mindful if that's too much for the neck. Just keep the head neutral. If you are reclined, slowly press yourself back up. Come all the way back up. And then roll to your left side. Take that right leg extended out. Draw it out to the middle to begin and pause. And then take that right ankle, cross it over the left. Pause there for a moment. And you might want to stay here. Or maybe you go a little bit deeper, leaning back. Start to slide that left leg in, finding the sensation in the hip here. And again, be mindful of the wrists and the elbows, a little micro bend. Fingers can point wherever's going to be best for your wrists. I tend to like my thumbs pointing forward, my wrists pointing out. It's not as tight on my wrists. And then again, just rock, find some sensation and hold. Can you be with that? And then you can either stay here, staying with that sensation. If those sensations have dissipated, maybe you lift your hips and draw them closer to that front heel. And again, just adjust accordingly. Move when you need to. Hold when you feel sensation. Not going too deep, not going too far. Still opening the chest, but try to relax the shoulders and jaw. Check in with the quality of your breath. And you have the option to continue to bring those hips closer, sitting up. Maybe even lean back into these arms a little bit, opening the chest again. Or maybe you take and cradle that right arm, sitting up tall, finding a little more sensation. But again, if your breathing gets a little choppy, if it gets a little too full, too rushed, come back with a little support. Give a few more cycles of breath here, listening to your body, being mindful of those sensations that are happening in the body, and listening to the breath. If you are cradling the ankle, go ahead and bring that foot back to your left knee. Slowly slide those hips away from the front leg, and then extend that left leg long. Extend the right leg long. And then from there, you're going to take that right leg, draw it in so the knee bends, opening yourself up, out instead of toward the left leg, finding some space there. And again, using any props you need to on this side like you did on the last. Taking that right arm up to the ceiling. Start to lean a little bit to the left. Maybe you hold here. Maybe the side's a little tighter, maybe it's a little looser. As you feel less sensation, as it dissipates again, going to that 60% max of the stretch. Hold there, and maybe that top arm grows heavy. Can you feel that sensation from your armpit to your hip? A reminder, it's not folding forward, we're opening up. So it's not about a forward fold. Maybe that bottom hand creates a little bit of a hammock for your head. Creating space and length all along that right side. Letting that left leg be loose. And here's where you can even deepen your breath. You can invite your breath to be deeper, to allow the stretch to happen via the breath rather than via the movement of deeper motions or deeper extension or deeper stretch, right? Just let your breath get deeper. Can you extend those right ribs toward the side, creating a deeper stretch? Can you breathe so deep that you feel that stretch wrap around your whole back side, the right side of your ribs on the back side of your body? Again, adjusting as you need. As that lessens in the intensity of the stretch or of the movement there. Adjusting, never forcing. Celebrating what your body can do and not comparing it to the other side, knowing each side's a little different. Maybe you start to lengthen that arm out a little bit, find some more adjustment, and then go back in. And then slowly take that top arm up. Keep coming up, press yourself up, and pause. Good, taking that left leg, draw in toward the right. Coming into that Baddha Konasana, Cobblers pose. Sitting up tall, shoulders behind you, hands behind you to begin, lift the chest, and then start to lengthen forward. So you have options here. You can lengthen forward with a nice long back. You can start to fold in, drawing that head down, relaxing everything down, getting more into the back side, getting into those erector spinae and all the fascia along the spine. That's what I like to do in this pose. We're going to be here for 2 minutes, just kind of rounding forward. And as you do, let the chin tuck in. Take that tailbone, draw toward your heels. And maybe your hands kind of rest on the sides of your head, giving your head a little support. Maybe you have so much more extension or length of the neck and spine that you can drop your head down toward your feet. Maybe stacking your fists and holding here. And just being heavy, so it's not an inner thigh stretch here. It's getting into the back side, into the hips, along the ribs, along the spine, up into the neck. Another option is even to have your block there and rest your forehead on the block and let your arms completely relax. Just a few more cycles of breath here. And then slowly curling yourself up, letting your chin be the last to rise. And then helping those knees, draw them up, extend them out, pausing there for a moment. And then from here, we're going to lay back into Shavasana. So using any props that you need, maybe just lay back, dropping down, settling in here, finding stillness, bringing all those sensations into your mind's eye, scanning over the body, being in the present with your breath, your body, noticing how it's feeling physically, how you're feeling mentally and emotionally. Just acknowledging all that, no judging, just allow it to be. Just settling in for a few more moments of silence. And taking a nice full inhale. Side out the mouth. And then slowly bend the knees. Using your arm as a pillow, roll over to your left side. Pause there. If you'd rather stay in Shavasana for a little longer, please do. Pushing in with the top hand, extend the top leg, press yourself up mindfully. Come all the way back up to seated. Once you found that seat, allow your eyes to close. Hands come to the heart center. Allowing yourself to be in the room, on your mat, in your body. Acknowledging all the sensations this practice has created. Not only physically, but also mentally. And allowing that to settle in, trying to stay within the present moment throughout the remainder of your day. We'll seal all this in with one final Om. Take a nice full inhale. Bow your head slightly. Taking a moment, think of one thing in your life that you truly are grateful for. And holding on to that image in your mind's eye as you raise your head with a smile. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking time for yourself today. Drink lots of water, eat your veggies, and wear some sunblock. We'll see you next time. Namaste.